Next week, y'all taking your check-in. So we're taking a little break from our scientific notation. We're using this week to review and finish up the scientific notation next week. Your check-in next week covers these 5 standards. For y'all, that means nothing to you, those letters and numbers. But what that is, that's systems of equations, association, line of best fit, and it's interpreting slope and y-intercept. So what I did today is, to start with, I took the practice test from the state, like the practice EOG, and took all the questions on these topics. We're going to go over those quick. There's 2 systems of equations, 4 that are comparing functions, only 1 that's talking about association, 2 for line of best fit, 2 for interpreting slope or y-intercept. So when we get to the actual EOG, that's about what you'll see. For your actual check-in, you'll see 5 of each of those, okay? Y'all at least kind of remember a little bit what those are, hopefully. All right, so if we look, first thing, we got car rental company charges $34 per day for a rented car and 50 cents for every mile driven. A second car rental company charges $20 per day and 75 cents for every mile driven. What is the number of miles at which both companies charge the same amount for a one-day rental? So this is a systems of equations problem. We need to get the equation for each place, okay? So first place, first company here, we got $35 per day and $50 for every mile. One of those is a slope word. One of those is not. The problem is they both have slope words, don't they? All right, so we see per and we see every. The 50 cents is going to be the slope. All right. The reason why, it's for a one-day rental. Everybody follow on that? So if it's $34 per day, we don't need to multiply by the number of days then, do we? If it's just one day. So our equation for that one, we've got 50 cents for every mile. So we're going to say 50 cents for X miles and $34 a day, and that'll equal our total. Okay? Everybody kind of good on that? Then the second car rental place, we got $20 per day and 75 cents for every mile driven. So give me that equation. So we got 0.75, 20 equals y. Everybody go with those 2 equations? So in these 2 equations, x is the number of miles, y is our total cost. So we put those into Desmos. And we found it. So where do they come? All right, so they're crossing at 20. That's the x value. What was the y value there? Oh, wait, no. 20 is the y-intercept. That's the dot there. So they're going to cross at our x value. So that's going to be our miles. 62 would be our y value. Everybody kind of follow? You put the two equations in. You're looking for where they cross each other, not the other. So what you're going to see is you're going to see dots on the graph. The one dot will be where they each cross the y-axis. You'll have a dot where they cross the x-axis. But you'll have a dot where they intersect each other. We're looking for the dot where the two lines intersect each other. Okay? Any questions on that one? All right, so here's the other system equations problem. We've got ordered pairs. Anybody remember what to do here? Yeah, we need tables on Desmos, all right? So our first pair of pairs, we got our x1, y1. So we're going to put 1, 4, 5, 8. And we got to do our y1 squiggle mx1 plus b. For our second pair of pairs, we got to do a second table. 2 lines, 2 tables. When we do our second table, it's going to put 2's on everything. The main thing with that is when we go to get our equation or get the line drawn, we need to put 2's. We can't do y1 anymore. Yeah, so if you put those in and you get your equations that draws your line, you're still looking for the same thing. You're still looking for where they cross. In this case, they're going to cross there at point C at 4, 7. These are actual EOG type questions, all right? All right, so these are a little hard to see probably, but it's hard to get graphs otherwise. This one was a calculator inactive question. So it's a little blocked there. Oh, I guess I can't move it. So we got, we need a graph that is 1/4, or a slope that is 1/4 greater than the slope on this equation here. So what's the slope here? Highlighted. 1. Slope is in front of the x, right? So when there's no number there, it's like there's a 1 there. So if my slope here is 1, 1/4 greater is 1 1/4. Or I could change that, let's say improper fraction. That would make it 5/4. All right, so we need a rise of 5, run of 4. So if I go here to here, that's 3 and 4. That one doesn't work. Here to here, that's up 2 over 4. That doesn't work. Here to there, that's up 5 over 4. That would be the 1. All right? So that's one of the ways that they have you compare functions. equations. They'll give you one equation and ask you for one slope that's a little bit higher or a little bit lower, okay? So you just got to pay attention to what it's asking you for, because sometimes it won't ask you for, here's the equation, find the slope that matches. All right, so this one here, it's asking about the rate of change. Keller, rate of change, what's it asking us about then? Slope or y-intercept? Slope. All right, so if it's asking about rate of change, it's asking for slope. So we got Jake here on the table. How much is Jake's test increasing? 84 to 91? 7. Yeah. It's changing y over changing x. The x value is only increasing by 1. So the y value increased 7. Howie, says right there, increases 6. So Jake increased 1 more. You got to know what rate of change is, though, right? And then you got to know how to figure out the slope from the table kind of thing. All right, so this one's asking, which one has the same slope as the table? Or as the graph, I mean. So it doesn't ask you which one has the same equation, does it? All right? So it doesn't have to have the same y-intercept, it just has the same slope. So for that graph, is that a positive or negative slope? Negative. A has a positive slope, B has a positive slope. C and D are the ones with the negative slopes. What are our words for slope?
Rise over run.
Rise over run. So our rise is 1, our run is 4. So we're looking at the negative 1/4. All right? So just remember, when you're looking for your slope, it's rise over run. All right, this one definitely a little hard to read from your seats, but all right, so Paula, it says, is walking 3x, or y equals 3x is her equation. Julia is walking 1 mile per hour faster. So if Paula is walking 3, how many is Julia walking? 4. 1 more. All right, so we're looking for a slope of 4. Now where this gets tricky is the labels here. It's rise over run, but our run doesn't always go by 1. So look, the one that goes at like 4 and 1 is right here. Everybody kind of follow on that? So like it doesn't fully look like it, but it's going up 4, and really that is still only going over 1 because of how the labels work. So you gotta pay attention to the labels on your graphs. All right, another one that is inactive. This is the association one. Doesn't really help you much anyhow with the calculator. Y'all, what's happening to the time? Increasing. What's happening to the number of calories? It's all over the place? So what's that mean? All right. So we go 600 to 750, we go 600 to 750 to 700 to 900 to 400 to 800. Like we're going up and down. So that's going to be like almost no association to it. All right. The calories also have to go up, okay? For it to be positive, it have to go down for it to be negative. Irrational, that's not one of the ones we did. We need to know which one of those fits the line. All right, anybody remember what we need to do? You could draw a line. Other thing you could do, you could take a table on Desmos, and you can put your ordered pairs into the table, right? All right, so let's go with the line first. Y'all said to draw a line. So if I draw a line, middle. My line's going about right there, right? What's my y-intercept then? My y-intercept's a little bit over 50. All right, 55 we're saying. Do any of those answer choices have 55 as a y-intercept? No. But we can probably eliminate those two for sure, can't we? And really, we can probably eliminate D even too, can't we? So sometimes making the line fit can be enough, okay? All right, so basically this one's asking, does that line fit well or not? So before we even read the answer choices, is that a good line for that data? No, why not? Most of the points are above the line, right? Line to go through the middle. So now we look at the answer choices, okay? It says, describes the data well, no. B says, describes the data well, no. C says, does not describe the data well because the line does not go through any of the points. Well, that's not the reason why. D says, linear model does not describe the data well because most of the points are located above the line. That's the reason. All right. Do we have to touch the lines? No. It doesn't have to touch any of the lines, but it does have to kind of go through the middle of the data, right? All right, so this one here, we got an equation. It's asking about the y-intercept. So first off, what number in that equation is the y-intercept? 98. All right, so look at the answer choices. If the y-intercept's 98 and it's asking about the y-intercept, what's the answer have to be? I mean, like, yo, it can be that easy sometimes, okay? Don't overthink things. All right, if it's asking about the y-intercept should be probably part of the answer. If it's asking about the slope, that's where it gets a little trickier. The slope, it has this 16 over 5. 16 over 5 works out to 3.2. That's where the 3.2s come from in the answer choices, but all right, so now look at this one. Our line here. It's asking about our slope. What are our words for slope? Rise over run. I start at 0, 0. I'm going to here. My run is 3. So I got 1/3 is my slope, okay? So if we look, I got a 3 and I got a 2. Can't be A. I got a 2, I got a 3, can't be B. I got a 3 and a 1. I got a 1 and a 3. So what we're looking at is either C or D. We got to figure out which one's which. The rise is my y-axis. What's my y values? What's it say? Inches or plant growth, right? Inches. And my x? Hours. So rise is the inches. So we need, 1 inch, 3 hours. That makes it B. You see how that works? Some of the ones where you're interpreting the slope or the y-intercept, that's what you need to do, is you need to look at a scatter plot and figure out your rise and your run, like what the x and the y's mean, okay?